I'm a senior fellow here at the Carnegie Endowment, and I'm very pleased to welcome you all here today. I'm particularly pleased to have Marlene Laruelle, the head of the Central Asia program at GW here, and I really appreciate the opportunity to co-host this event. The Central Asian program is one of the finest in the country, and the fellows that come here to Washington were really lucky because every year we have a new set or sets of really interesting analysts, academics, journalists, the whole slew of them. Many of the people who have been here before have become some of my friends in Central Asia, so I'm very happy to welcome this group here to Carnegie and to do this event today, which is going to be on the rise of social media, and I think this is a very important topic. Given all of the changes we are seeing in the region, and given sort of the potency, particularly with what's going on in Kazakhstan right now, of some social media and its impact on those events. So today, I am welcoming two of the Central Asian fellows from GW, and we have Elmurat Asharaliyev, who's a researcher and journalist. He researches the mediascape in the Kyrgyz Republic as a visiting fellow at GW. And he's a journalist at Group Media, an independent Kyrgyz media outlet that works on human rights, politics, and corruption. He earned his MA in Central Asian Studies from the American University of Central Asia. To his right, we then have Mirakmal Niyamatov, who is a managing attorney at the Langer Law Firm in Bethesda. He's an accomplished immigration and civil rights attorney who's previously worked with Freedom Now and on human rights in Uzbekistan. He's a Bachelor of Law from the University of World Economy and Diplomacy in Tashkent. And then to his right, we have Eldar Asanov, who's a linguist and journalist whose research this year at GW has been dedicated to mass media issues, censorship, and public debate in Uzbekistan. He has extensive experience in the Uzbek media, both in digital, print, and television journalism. He's the founder of popular scientific blog Asanov Format and the project manager of the Daryo Uz news portal. He earned his BA in mass media and an MA in public relations from the National University of Uzbekistan, and he has completed a PhD in applied linguistics from Tashkent State University as well. So I welcome all three of you, and maybe I will just turn it over to you to say some opening remarks, and then get the discussion going. So,
should I start my presentation? Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you start with your presentation?
Thank you very much for having us. For the past 5 years, I worked as a journalist for Club Media, one of the leading media outlets in Kyrgyz Republic. During the fellowship program here, I worked on the problems of native language journalism in Central Asia. You know that journalism in the region is bilingual with Russian and native languages of the region. Despite all Central Asian states attempt to develop their own national languages for almost 30 years, Russian is a language still of politics, education, information technology, among other aspects, including mass media. So in my research, I show how much native language journalism in Central Asia is biased and violate the principles of journalism, which makes them low in quality. Therefore, I ask, how can native language journalism be improved in the region? As a case study, I examined Kyrgyzstan's online media. In Kyrgyzstan, journalism is bilingual with Kyrgyz and Russian languages, and depending on the language, there is a difference in the tone and perspective. For example, some Russian language mass media can be approaching, covering stories from Russian perspective, while Kyrgyz language mass media can be more nationalist or conservative. I analyzed online media outlets that are original from Kyrgyzstan and that produce news materials only in Kyrgyz language. And I didn't include in my analysis the international media corporations Kyrgyz branch such as Azad, BBC Kyrgyz, and Sputnik Kyrgyzstan. I came up with a list of 5 news sites based on their daily readership. So I chose the most visited websites. Their daily traffic range from 1,000 to 100,000 readers. They are barometer.kg, kabar.kg, Kyrgyz Today Board, super.kg, and turmush.kg. Just in note. I employed content analysis to examine those websites and identified 2 main problems. The first problem is the lack of transparency. News sites do not provide information about their editorial policies, they do not provide information about their team and their type. For example, Barometer gives only WhatsApp number and email address, briefly mentioning it's an information agency. So we do not know what kind of media outlet it is, whether it is sponsored, state-sponsored, whether it's financed privately by businessmen or politicians. We also do not know what people work for this media outlets. So, and the next main problem is the lack of code of conduct, or in other words, it's can be lack of professional principles. The content analysis shows that online media in question are more likely to violate journalism principles such as fairness, accuracy, and ethics. The majority news materials are based on one source, which makes them one-sided, and in which the opinion of the second side is not offered. That's why they violate one of the main principles of journalism, fairness. Another problem is no indicating of the authors of the materials, and it's not explained why. So, for example, Kabar and Turmush do not indicate the authors of materials at all. And it's not always clear if news sites produce their own content. Some online media more likely to republish, for example, press releases with slightly or without any editing. So it's particularly case on Kabar, which is a state-sponsored information agency. And there are many cases where news sites sometimes publish other media outlets' materials. For example, Kyrgyz Today republishes materials from other media outlets more than produces itself. And also some websites, it's funny, publish social media posts of celebrities, of public figures, usually from Facebook and Instagram, as they appear. In this case, they do not engage in cross-checking information. They do not verify the information, the accuracy of information, and most importantly, they do not do further analysis of the case. They do not develop the topic. So such materials are prevalent on Barometer, for example. So to sum up main challenges faced by online media in Kyrgyzstan, news sites usually offer content based on one source. Therefore articles are heavily biased and one-sided. News sites frequently offer, in the form of news, social media posts, press releases with almost no editing. And most importantly, news sites do not address real social issues. They do not investigate journalism, and the analytical skills of journalists are low, quite low. So what we conclude from this content analysis is that there is a lack of professional training of journalists at the state universities, among other factors. Therefore, one of my recommendations would be to assist the teachers of journalism departments. Helping the teachers to learn new skills, update their curricula, would have direct impact on the level of education of future journalists. And one of the options, in my opinion, to address this issue could be through international media organizations which function in the region for almost 20 years. For example, IWPR and Internews have been working on the development of free, quality, and objective journalism in the region by providing trainings for journalists, by providing technical assistance for independent media outlets, and most importantly, I suggest these media organizations should also take into account the use of native languages of their region in their activities. It will have positive direct impact on the productivity of their work. And my broad conclusion is that given the low quality of majority of media in native languages in the region, there is no way to compete with media production in Russia and to provide own Central Asian perspective. Thank you very much.
Move to the next one, or take a question?
No, I think the
Move
three
to the next one.
together.
Okay, let's do it. Please.
Hello. My presentation will be more of a general character, right? So the rise of social media in Uzbekistan is a fact. We are seeing it in the last 5 years. There was incredible development, right? You can see if initially you would see more of blogging from members of pop culture. Now you can see personal trainers blogging and having thousands of followers. You can see sexual education blogs especially, and also with thousands of followers. And for Uzbekistan, and for the blogging being in Uzbek, this is big, I think, because this type of topics, especially on sexual education, were taboo, you wouldn't discuss it with public. But now there are YouTube blogs with thousands of followers. And that again links to what Elmra just presented on how the rise in native language in Uzbek is rising in Uzbekistan. But as an attorney, for me, it is more important to look at the legal aspects, right? I had clients who were independent journalists in Uzbekistan who were persecuted by the government for the content of their articles, for what they were researching or investigating in Uzbekistan. But then with the rise of social media, they changed. Now the focus obviously of today's discussion and the trend in Uzbekistan is not for only on journalists as such, but on bloggers. How are they doing? What are the legal guarantees of their activities? Can the laws be used as a tools for repression in Uzbekistan to persecute bloggers, right? And eventually what to expect in the coming weeks. I mentioned about the rise of social media, and it is not only among bloggers. You can see use of social media everywhere. And when I say social media, I'm particularly focused on Facebook and Telegram in Uzbekistan, right? So from private citizens to government bodies, right? The president's press office has more than 250,000 followers. Ministry of Justice has 150,000 followers on its legal news channel. Supreme Court has a channel. I don't know why. I don't think they have to blog or post daily on what they do, but it has around 5,000 followers. To foreign embassies, they know that the Uzbeks are very into social media these days, and they keep opening their channels. To businesses. Businesses are incredible what they do. Whatever you can see in Costco can be delivered to Uzbekistan in a matter of weeks. In 1 week, you just respond to Telegram message or post saying this is on sale, place your orders, and you'd see what is being sold in Costco in Uzbekistan. So that's how the level of proliferation going on at the moment. So I think for the government even, I don't think that we should expect any restrictions, because it's a good tool for PR and improving its image, because it's a tool to stay in touch with the population, especially considering the problems with using internet, because Telegram channel, it is one of the apps like WhatsApp or Viber in Uzbekistan. It is more preferred for people to use Telegram. So, and Telegram is so versatile. You have individual talks, secret chats, have your own channel with your followers, and that's how all the users are using Telegram for their purposes. If Facebook has about 1 million Uzbek followers, I believe, my colleagues would know better, but that's what I found in the numbers. I think Telegram counts at least more than 50 million to 20 million. Basically, it's a number of cell phone users in Uzbekistan, which counts around 23 million, I believe. So even if I downgrade that, we are getting close to 50 million, assuming everyone is using smartphones in Uzbekistan. So I think from that perspective, the government would be interested in controlling it, right? Coming from this strongly controlled background, they would want to know what is being discussed. If there are something that is against the government. So that would be, I think, one of the areas that Uzbekistan, from purely this the intent to manage what is happening, would be interested to regulate legally. And I think the recent press freedoms index on Uzbekistan is telling, because it was ranked again at 160, just slightly 5 positions better than it was last year. I think Uzbekistan is doing better. It could have been, ranked, slightly higher than 160. But as for the reasons why it was again ranked at the level of 160, Reporters Without Borders told that we are not seeing strong criticism of high-ranking officials in Uzbekistan, though there is lots of criticism and discussion of what governors are doing or ministers are doing. There is disagreement and the others. Censorship, lack of internet access, and of course blocking of major mass media, foreign media like BBC, Voice of America, and Radio Free Europe, Uzbek service. But does it but if you look at the legal perspective, I think my concern as an attorney was started with the amendments to the law in 2014, when there was new amendments to the current law on informatization in Uzbekistan, which included the definition for a blogger and included the requirements what the blogger should follow when they blog. Yeah, so basically a blogger is anyone who uses internet, which is on its own problematic. Even if you don't have a separate website with a blog on WordPress or the others. Under that definition, anyone who is using Facebook and sharing something on the Facebook can count as a blogger. And then the requirements of accuracy were included into the law. So the blogger is responsible for the accurateness of the information that he or she is sharing, which is a problem on its own because bloggers are more for expressing opinion, not for researching what is taking place. The journalistic standards of accuracy and verification of the information does not as such apply to bloggers. So that was included, and obviously the parts that you can see in most of the former Soviet Union countries that you cannot place information that defames honor and dignity or business reputation of a person, or information that raises racial, religious hatred against other groups. For me, why that was concerning, and that can relate to yesterday's event at George Washington. A friend of mine posted a Facebook post telling the highlights from the event, saying to what extent Central Asian countries copy-paste the laws of Russia with regard to certain fields, right? And yesterday's event was on fighting extremism and terrorism, and apparently Kyrgyzstan copy-pasted basically the laws on fighting terrorism are 75% similar to Russia's. Then comes, I believe, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan has 5 percentile rank, which I think should be slightly more than that. But going back to 2014 law on blogging, that can be related to, again, the law in Russia, because that was Russia who adopted that law first, sometime in, I believe, summer of July of 2014, and then Uzbekistan adopted those amendments in August, 3 months after Russia did that. So that was a warning, sign for me that Uzbekistan is following the Russia's approach to how to regulate, social media. Russia's approach was as understandable. That's because of the Ukrainian, conflict in Ukraine, because Russian government was trying to, control what is being shared by bloggers in Russia and what is being consumed by the Russian readers. For Uzbekistan, I think it was more of what is happening in Syria and the increasing number of Uzbeks going to Syria and using social media for their own propaganda purposes. But the Russian law was interesting. It required having, if a blogger has more than 3,000 followers or readers, that person has to get licensing from the government, which requires providing your own name, so the government can track who is the person behind that or other Facebook page or a Telegram channel or a website. Uzbekistan didn't include that. And obviously, there were worries that eventually that would also be included, at the later stage. Interestingly, in 2017, Minister of Information came up with an interview and said there is no intention of licensing bloggers in Uzbekistan. And that was an interesting piece of information because there are individuals, a blogger, there are very famous bloggers with thousands of followers. One of them has, for example, 80,000 followers on Telegram channel, for example. Right? Can you imagine one post and it is read by 80,000 people, not counting how many people will be sharing that. Another one has 40,000. Eldar just started, he has 5,000 readers, which is also, I think, a very, very, important number. So in that sense, there were no changes with regards to licensing, bloggers' activity. But then we have this new strategy for 2019. And strategy is not state strategy or a roadmap. Every agency has a roadmap now or what to do. And the Ministry of Information, Print and Information Agency of Uzbekistan has a plan for the August and for the August 2019, by August 2019, to introduce new draft of the law on informatization in Uzbekistan, and that would have a section on how to regulate blogging, and I expect that would have more substance into it compared to what we already have. There may be more, provisions to regulate what can people say and what they cannot. How that would be, phrase that's hard to guess. It is already very restrictive. Just to say, you cannot post anything on that would insult someone's, religion or culture is a problem on its own because it's so wide. But I think three issues would determine how we'll continue from now on. It's I think on a personal level, just the level of people, how they know their rights. If the more people know the essence and the importance of freedom of speech, they'll be exercising it more and defending it more. I think there is a serious amount of work that needs to be done in that sphere. Second level would be civic society, how NGOs engage and help people to understand that, and conduct trainings and do the work on that. And I think the third very important aspect of it is independent judiciary. Now, from now on, because there is more and more discussion, there will be more cases going to the court. And if the courts truly show independence and defend freedom of speech and expression, then I think that would add to how it is developing now. If they would be siding more with the approach that you cannot insult, someone's culture, religion, or dignity and honor, however vague and wide it is, then we'll see problem in that direction. So let's see how it goes.
Hello everyone. Let me say first a few words about my own work experience before moving to my research topic. As you all know, the salient feature of former Uzbek leader Islam Karim's rule was the censorship over the media outlets. As a journalist, I've been working with the Uzbek media outlets for more than 4 years, and during this time I witnessed how this censorship worked and how mass media was controlled by the government. For example, there were some cases when my articles were not allowed to be published, but this is the least harsh practice of censorship. Many of my colleagues face more serious legal problems in Uzbekistan. But the situation is changing now. New faces in Uzbek government are trying to form a positive international image of the country, and many officials realize that the freedom of speech is intricately linked with development of country. So this is the most positive moment of changes in Uzbekistan right now. But we still have a lot of problems. So government is still keeping a significant level of control over the media, and there are many taboo topics to cover by journalists. For example, criticizing of high-level government representatives or president's inner circle is still forbidden. And we're also facing the lack of transparency of state agencies. All these issues, all these problems, censorship, lack of independent media and political competition has led to the situation when, as you mentioned it about, led the situation when social media has become the only platform for civic activism in Uzbekistan. And now Uzbek corners of Facebook, Twitter, Telegram are the places where Uzbeks can freely discuss about political issues, socio-economic problems, and about cultural transformation of society. My research here during my fellowship concerns all these issues. It concerns to activity in social media of Uzbek bloggers and public opinion leaders. My research is still in progress, that's why now I can only introduce you with the preliminary findings. I argue that new generation of Uzbek opinion leaders has become more active in social media, and social media become the new place for shaping ideological debates. And Uzbek bloggers, Uzbek public opinion leaders, opinion makers very effectively use Facebook, Twitter, and Telegram to promote their ideas, to be their view on several social problems. So social media became a laboratory to experiment diverse ideological debates on communism, nationalism, Islamism, and liberalism. Now we can see that many Uzbek opinion makers tend to unite around some political or religious ideologies, and some of these alliances or groups launch their own independent media projects, as well as TV channels, YouTube channels, news websites. I distinguish here my research three main groups of Uzbek activists and bloggers who are trying to impact Uzbek society through social media. And the first group are supporters of Islamization of society, or Islamic activists and preachers, and main direction of their activity related to fight for religious right. But in the most extreme cases, some of these activists advocate for building Islamic State or living in accordance with Islamic law, Sharia. This is, we can say that this is the main group, and this group is the most active online now. and many Islamic activists has tens of thousands of followers on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, and a main major project related to this group is kun.uz news site with more than 400,000 daily visitors. The second group are supporters of traditionalization or secular conservatives, also known as the children of Karim of time. And the main idea they are promoting is Uzbek national values should be a kind of a guideline of Uzbek society. Government usually tried to collaborate with them to keep golden center between influence of Islamization and Western civilization. Uzbek officials, many special organizations are trying to form their own agenda in social media, attracting many young people impacted by ideas of Islam Karim of time. And today, hundreds of thousands young people are very active on social media. And the third and the last group are supporters of modernization, or so-called Europe-oriented youth. And their main ideas are liberalization of society, secularization, and individual rights. This is the smallest group right now, but it has some interesting and actually smart opinion makers with 1,000 followers. All this group and their activists play a growing role in shaping ideological debates in Uzbekistan. But in general, Uzbek social media activists are still too weak, and they aren't able to compete with power brokers of politics, and social media has no enough resources to accumulate all civic activism in Uzbekistan. Also, other mentioned problems as well as censorship, government's effort to totally control media is hampering this process, is hampering the development of woefully weak independent media in Uzbekistan. Therefore, one of my recommendations would be addressed to the Uzbek Agency of Press and Information. Agency officials, I think, should be in touch with journalists, opinion makers, and help them to improve their skills of collaborating with Uzbek society, of conducting public debates. And also, I think it would be great if Uzbek officials allow to more foreign media outlets to operate inside the country. What I want to conclude, this was a brief mapping of Uzbek social media. As you can see, there is a growing plurality of opinion expressed, and we have at least three main ideological directions here in social media debates, and I hope it will help a new generation of Uzbeks to decide for the future of Uzbekistan. Basically, is all. Thank you for attention.